Okay, so we are live. I'm gonna wait a minute. Hi. Wait about a minute. I'm gonna pull up the chat. Okay, I don't see the chat right now. But all right. Hi, I'm Maisha Williamson. If you want to introduce yourself, I'm Maisha Williamson. I'm the founder of STEM Girls Social Network. I've been a ACT, SAT prep tutor for over 12 years. So Desmond, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Desmond Martin. I have been a math and test prep tutor for about 3 years now, and I am really happy to be with all of y'all.
Okay, great, great, great. So we introduced ourselves, and now we are going to dive right into our presentation and get started. So I'm going to share the screen. If I can do it. Share my screen. All right, so we're going to dive right in to the SAT Prep webinar. Super excited to have you all with us, and we just want to share this information so it can be helpful in your helping your student, helping yourself if you are a student, or helping your your students prepare for if you're an instructor or a parent. So we're going to go through introductions again. Desmond, I'm going to pass it off to you so you can go more into your background.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I am a STEM supplementer, you could say math and test prep as well. I hold a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Michigan, and I've been working with youth in tutoring and test prep since then. So, altogether, a little bit over 10 years. I also serve as the head of curriculum and instruction at Page in Paxton. And there, I experiences for children pre-K through second grade to get early exposure to STEM as well. It's really important for me that students get a chance to understand science, technology, engineering, and math right from the beginning. And I have over 3 years of experience tutoring high school students in Detroit public schools as well. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, and I'm really glad to be with you all and really excited about helping you and your students get better at the SAT and really to dominate the test, accelerate your college careers forward. So I'm going to hand it over to Maisha to introduce herself.
Hi guys, it's me again. I am like when I met Desmond, I said like he's my tutor twin in life. Like his story and background are very similar to mine. I've been an SAT tutor and math instructor for about over 12 years right now. I started right out of high school because I did very well on the exams, and I found out it was the highest paying job on campus to do that. So I started my tutoring career back then. I also attended University of Michigan for mechanical engineering. I've been creating STEM and pre-engineering programs for Chicago public schools. I'm from Chicago, well, from the south suburbs of Chicago, but I've been working with Chicago public schools for about 7 years. I've been working with university and summer programs for 8 years. For the past 2 years, I worked with a program for the city of Chicago, implementing coding programs on the west side for low-income and juvenile delinquent students. So yeah, my results put me among the elite tutors in the subject matter. My average ACT increase is about 4 to 5 points, and my average SAT score increases 200 points. So I'd like to get really good results for a student. I'm really, really excited to talk with you guys. Yeah, both of us from University of Michigan. We just watched a very crushing loss by our boys in basketball, but you know, we're really, really excited to rep our schools, rep our cities, and really, really help students where we come from. So why are we doing this? We have a deep passion for student success, and we want to be able to reach as many students as possible. We tutor one-on-one right now, and we want to really, really expand our reach so we can help students who maybe can't afford our higher end services, or who can't afford service at all in some cases. And we really, really want to have a greater impact and get more students into college. And this ACT, SAT prep is very, very important. Desmond, I'm just going to pass it to you so you can talk a little bit more about why you're doing this or why you're interested in helping students.
No, absolutely. Maisha hit the nail on the head when she said she's found her tutoring twin. I had no idea that our paths were so aligned. But I really do want to echo a lot of what she said. There are really bleak disparities when it comes to college test scores that are based around resources. Tutoring one-on-one is great. I've had the opportunity to work with students for a long time, and students of color, and it's work that I'm passionate about. But working together with Maisha and working with you all online to expand our reach in tutoring and SAT test prep really gives us the opportunity to make the most amount of difference. When we're talking about 200-point increase on the SAT, with regards to college admission, that really can be life-changing when you think about the kind of results you'll see from universities, and even results that you'll see when pursuing scholarships. So I think we are really aligned with the idea that we want to see as many people who are able to get a college education, have access to a college education, have access to funding for their college education, really walk into those opportunities.
Absolutely, absolutely. I forgot to share my story about my personal college experience, but I would say basically I increased my SAT score about 400 points. So that changed my outcomes from maybe getting into colleges. I wasn't scoring at all anywhere near the average to get into University of Michigan. But with my new score, I scored about a little bit above average for University of Michigan engineer, and I scored well above average a lot of other universities. So I got offers from full rides, tuition, books, like stipends from about 7 different universities around the country. University of Michigan gave me a full tuition scholarship. They didn't give me a full ride, but I was able to say, like, I got these other scholarships from other universities. Was there anything they could do? And I was able to leverage that for times for money and stipends from the University of Michigan. So it made a huge difference, because without that score increase, I wouldn't even got into the university. I wouldn't even got those scholarship offers. And it saved hundreds of thousands, probably about $100,000 overall. So that is a little bit about my story, and I want other people to have the same success. So just wanted to mention quickly, if you're a parent in Michigan or Illinois, the state test that is offered in schools has changed over from the ACT to the SAT. This is not a huge issue. They're very similar tests now. They're more closely aligned, but there are slight changes that make preparation different. For instance, the SAT is more heavily focused on vocabulary. So as a parent, you really want to make sure that you're building your students' vocabulary starting, as soon as they're born, but basically when they become freshmen in high school, you want to start sharing vocabulary words with them that will be on the SAT. Maybe I suggest students, like parents, 5 a week, and really put those on the fridge, talk about them throughout the week, because it is very vocabulary intensive tests. So we're just going to get into what is the SAT. SAT History. It was first administered in 1926. The SAT is owned and published by the College Board, a private nonprofit corporation in the United States. The test is intended to assess students' readiness for college. The current SAT, introduced in 2016, takes 3 hours to finish, plus 50 minutes for the SAT with the essay. Why is the SAT important? All GPAs are not created equal. So for instance, my high school was not that amazing. I went to one of the lower performing high schools in the Chicago suburbs. And so what the SAT or the ACT does is let colleges know what is my preparation for college relative to other people in the country. Because I had above a 4.0 GPA, but that doesn't matter relative to a student who went to a high school with a much more rigorous curriculum than my high school. So the SAT is like kind of an equalizer to let colleges know what is your level of preparation based on, based on other people in the country. So that is why the SAT is important and why they administer it. So SAT types of questions and sections. One passage from a classic or contemporary work of US or world history literature. So what I always have my students do is I tell them to start reading magazine articles from, newspaper articles from like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, and this will help them with their critical reading. One passage or a pair of passages from either a US founding document or a text in the Great Global Conversation. So this is where like CNN, watching that news or reading that will really help. A section about economics, psychology, or sociology. 2 science passages. You don't have to worry about learning science to read these science passages. It's just studying your reading comprehension. And math, it's called the heart of algebra. There's problem solving and data analysis, and passport to advanced math. So basically, it will cover everything from pre-algebra to very, very simple trigonometry, but not too deep into trigonometry where you have to know like theorems and things like that. But we'll get into math more in another webinar. Right now, we're going to focus on critical reading. And so there's writing and language. And to answer some questions, you need to look very closely at single sentences. And others require reading the entire passage and interpreting graphic. For instance, you might be asked to choose a sentence that corrects a misinterpretation of scientific chart or that better explains the importance of the data. So the passage you improve will range from arguments to nonfiction narratives and will be about careers, history, and social science, humanities, and science. So I'm going to pass it over to Desmond to finish out this section.
Absolutely. So the SAT, as Maisha mentioned, is owned by College Board and has been tweaked over the past few years to look more like the ACT. This is why, specifically for our parents and students who live in Michigan and Illinois, we're seeing some of these changes. You may have been preparing for the ACT in previous years, and some of those same preparation techniques and strategy test as well. In that sense, we would just want to get a better idea of the way the test is structured. There are 3 sections that are mandatory, and the 4th, the essay, is optional. Our reading section is long, and in that 65 minutes, you're going to answer 52 questions. The writing and language section is 35 minutes long, and in that section, you'll be asked to answer 44 questions. The section is 80 minutes long. You'll be asked to answer 58 questions. That is the longest section of the exam. Now, for those of you who in the essay, which is optional on the ACT, it's 50 minutes long and there's 1 essay question. And the question is always asked, or we hear it a lot, do I need to take the essay section? The answer to that, the short answer is depends on what the university you want to go to requires. Not every university is looking for the essay session, is not looking to assess your writing ability through the essay. The writing and language section can do some of that. So if you want to take the essay section, by all means take it, but really more than anything, make sure that your university, the universities that you're applying to require it and that you meet those requirements. So in total, the SAT is 180 minutes long and 154 questions, or if you do the optional essay, it's 230 minutes long.
Okay, so how to prepare. How long in advance should I prepare? So your high school usually will tell you to prepare at the beginning of your junior year. I personally tell people to start preparing freshman year. If you have a student who's older and you haven't started freshman year, that's okay. But here's why I say to start preparing freshman year. I mostly work with individually with a lot of students who are from Asia or mostly Asian students, and first generation immigrant students, and their parents start preparing them 8th grade and freshman year for these exams. So imagine, like, they're hiring me as a tutor to start preparing their students freshman year for these exams. They're getting a big leg up on everyone else. And a lot of people think or say that, you know, Asian or immigrants are smarter than American students. It's not that they're smarter, they prepare more efficiently, they prepare harder, they prepare longer. So and we have to think about, like, what opportunities the SAT is affording our students, and we have to take it very, very seriously. If we are saving students $100,000, $150,000 a year, or, you know, over the course of their time in college, that's money they can be put towards buying a house. That's determining what future schools, what people they're going to associate with. So it's really, really important to start preparing early. So now you don't have to be stressed out in your junior year when you're preparing. You can steadily prepare for the exam, low stress, junior year, have it out the way, and spend the rest of your junior and senior year actually applying to college. So the pros and cons of self-study. So the pros are that you can move at the pace that you would like to. It's very cost efficient. It works really well for self-motivated and self-accountable students. The cons, that there's little direction. It's hard to get help when stuck, and spend a lot of time self-diagnosing and understanding the answers. It takes a lot of trial and error to research methods and resources that work well for you. It's not good for students who need more direction. So for example, I did self-study. That's been a long, long time, a lot of energy into studying. But if someone was there to help me gather information, it would have cut down the time that I would have had to study. Because I know different techniques and strategies, I'm able to save people time and direct them to what they really need to focus on. Also, I'm like like a personal trainer. Like, you might know how to work out, but you need somebody to hold you accountable and make sure you do what you need to do with proper form. So that's what I do. Pros and cons of studying in groups or group classes. You can get help from other students. You can learn and share resources. And the group can, but the cons are the group can determine your speed of learning. So if the group is going slowly, you may have to go slowly and might not have to go as fast as you want to go. A group instructor most time teaches to the middle and can miss student needs at the bottom and the top of the class. So that's what can happen with group study sometimes. The pros, cons of individual tutoring. Pros, you get a very customized learning experience, oftentimes the best type of tutoring. The greatest increase and the fastest increase of score with proven techniques, because the tutor can, like a personal trainer, help streamline the process. The cons, it's most expensive, and the various levels of experience and effectiveness vary greatly between tutors. So that can be an issue. So I'm going to pass it over to Desmond to talk about how to prepare for the SAT writing and language.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Maisha. Today, our focus in this webinar is really going to talk a little bit more in depth about the SAT writing and language test. This is one of the mandatory components for the SAT. And in preparation for the SAT, we want to give you a sense of exactly what you're going to see. SAT is designed by the College Board to test your skills in ways that are going to be used in everyday situations, both in your college career and also in your profession. It's about everyday learning. When you take the writing and language test, you'll do 3 things that people do all the time when they write and edit documents. Find the mistakes and weaknesses, and then you'll fix those mistakes and weaknesses. Really good news in that, because you do these things every time you proofread your own schoolwork, or your essays, your monologues, your dialogues, anything that you're producing in terms of content to be turned in the course of normal academia, you're already practicing these skills. Really practical skills that you'll use to spot and to correct problems. You've been learning not only in high school, but since really elementary school, see it in college. And that's what this portion of the test is designed to measure. The writing and language test is a particular way. To answer some questions, you'll need to look closely at a single sentence. Others require reading of the entire piece and interpreting a graphic. You have to choose a sentence that corrects a misinterpretation of a scientific chart, or that better explains the importance of data. To be comprehension and really synthesizing not only what you read, but being able to apply that visually as well. The passages you improve will range from arguments to nonfiction narratives, and will be about careers, history, social studies, the humanity, and science. We really find it valuable that students be well-rounded and decently well-read when taking this test. So as Mrs. Maisha mentioned earlier, if you've got a favorite news source, that's great, but vary what you read as well. Go back and revisit some of those founding documents, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers. Go back and read some of the prominent authors of the early 20th century. Go back and read old newspapers. There are archives that are really, really valuable with understanding how language was written at its time, but also understanding content at the time. You have to become the smartest person overnight, but taking a little bit of time to familiarize yourself with more canon is really, really helpful. So the writing and language section is 44 questions long and takes 35 minutes to complete. We can really think of the writing and language section of covering some specific core subjects and understanding. Questions about your command of evidence, your ability to improve what you've read, to analyze words and context. Of course, be able to know what you read, and even if you in vocabulary that you don't understand, being able to contextualize and get an understanding. We'll be asking you to history and social studies and in sciences as well. We're checking your ability to express ideas really well and succinctly. We'll be checking standard English conventions, also known as grammar. So you're going to want to brush up on some of the things as well. Sounds like a lot. It sounds like you're reviewing everything, but don't be too overwhelmed by it. There's an average of 7 questions in each category. So now we're going to give you guys a bonus. Oh, go right ahead. So now we're going to give you guys a bonus. We're going to do a mini lesson where we talk about rules that's going to be applicable to your writing and language session. Rule number 1 is that it's imperative that we select the correct word based on the context given of the sentence. And there are going to be 2 types of questions that you see on the SAT as you're tackling this. Type 1 are homophones, and type 2 are related words. Homophones are words that sound the same but have different meanings. Here are some examples of homophones that have appeared on the practice SATs. Fair and fair, sight, sight, and sight, then and than, there, and it's and its. You should know what each of these words means and how they're used. The second type of word choice error, no problem. The second type of word choice error involves synonyms or related words. A word will be underlined and the answer choices will be related words. However, only one word will be correct given the context of the sentence. And we're going to take a look at both types of questions. So example number one are homophones. In this section, I'm going to just read it just to go through it really quick. More like a fair than an actual cafe. The first repair cafe took place in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. The former journalist Martin Hosma, wanting to make a practical stand in a throwaway culture. And you've got a couple of choices as answers. You've got A, no change, B, fair than, C, fair than, and D, fair than. And they're asking about line number one. You see a box that says 38 that highlights the question, highlights the exact sentence that they're focusing on. So in a question like this, we're asking to make a comparison about words that may sound similar, but we need to understand their proper meaning. The first thing that you need to do is recognize that comparison right off the bat. The comparison is being made to fair and cafe. Now, fair is a better fit, F-A-I-R, than the word fair, F-A-R-E. Fare is a fee that's paid for some kind of transportation. Like if you get on a bus, you pay a fare, or if you get on a train, you pay a fare. So that allows us to eliminate choice C right away. It uses the wrong fare. The next thing we can do is compare then and than. And this is where an understanding of vocabulary comes into really good use for us. Then refers to a time. I'm going to the dentist then. Or if you're reading the sentence, then the character moved to the next plot point. Than is used to draw comparisons. This tea is hotter than that tea. Than. So that allows us to eliminate choice D. When we eliminate choice C, and we eliminate choice D, and then we look at what's written in the sentence, fair then, looking at then and understanding that that's the incorrect word choices, and that A, no change is not the answer, we're only left with a choice B, fair than. So that's a typical example of a homophone question.
Perfect.
Our next type of question when it relates to our first grammar rules are related words. So let's take a look at this particular portion. These cats are so cherished by the museum that officials recently decreed original paintings to be made of 6 of them. Laid out for us beautifully. There's a big box with a number question right next to it. It points us to it. We really don't have to go searching for it. Now, when we're thinking about related words, understanding and contextualizing and using the best word for the sentence, it's important to go through each word quickly and check to see if they make sense. And we're given some options. We can not change it. We can use the word commissioned, licensed. It's important to understand decreed is similar to command and to order. Strong for the sentence. We're talking about a museum and not necessarily somebody who's in authority like a military commander. Force is in that same vein. It feels a little bit too strong. And generally, you don't license a painting to be made. There are some situations where paintings get licensed. Unless you're living in a particularly restrictive country culturally, you don't need a license to create a painting. It leaves us with one final word, commission. Commission means one of the meanings of commission to make an artwork. And in this sentence, we are talking about a particular artwork. So that means B is our correct answer. So there are some important notes for these grammar rules. We're just looking at this first one, but one thing that you definitely want to be conscious of is that it can be for these particular questions because you won't know the exact words that are going to be on the exam. It's really important to be well-rounded. Familiar with, the more vocabulary you're familiar with, the more prepared for these kind of questions that you'll be. So as Ms. Maisa mentioned earlier, it's important to broaden that vocabulary. And it may sound like a rote work to be done, but something as simple as a word-a-day calendar, going through and reading different material than you're used to and challenging yourself in that material can really make a difference in the vocabulary you'll get and the ability for you to contextualize vocabulary that you haven't heard before. And finally, it's really important to pay attention to subtle differences in word meanings. Differences in intensity, in particular context for word usage, will help you find the correct answer.
Okay, so we went kind of quickly through that, but we want to know if you want to dive deeper into any of these topics. We're going to get into math in a few weeks, but we want to talk about our SAT prep class that we are putting together. So it's, we call it Detroit Elite SAT prep classes. So we work to bring out the best in your student. We want to talk about what's different about our SAT prep classes. So we offer a great value with our classes over private tutoring. So this is going to be equivalent to 3 sessions a week for 8 weeks. It's worth over $2,400 of classes for only $300. I mentioned again how my students have saved an average of $100,000 in tuition and fees for college. So it's a great investment for $300, right? So we have weekly online office hours where the instructor will answer questions and will work out problems submitted by the students. So you learn the best by seeing questions others may ask and to get some one-on-one learning time from the instructor. So you'll see what other problems people had during the week, and we can work through those problems together. So that's some things you get with our course. There's also online group chat. So studies show that learning in groups increases your learning capacity and decreases the amount of time needed to master a subject. So you'll learn with a group of motivated students just like yourself. And so we'll post questions, videos, and resources in the chat to help you get answers when you need them. Experienced tutors, like we said, over 16 years of combined tutoring and instructional experience. 2 mechanical engineers educated at the University of Michigan who found a passion for teaching students and helping them improve STEM competencies. And you get over 24 hours of classroom times and 8 office hours. This is a lot of instructional time, and most of our time will be spent completing drills and reviewing answers, practicing strategy, and things like that. We are doing as much as we can to make sure that the students get coaching time in the classroom. So our tutoring program averages a net of 200-point increase at the completion of the program. Results vary based on the work ethic of the student. If you're willing to work and complete your weekly assignments and ask for help when needed, we can get you results, okay? And so I wanted to talk about like how this program differs from other tutoring programs, other group tutoring programs. A lot of times, like we mentioned before, group tutoring sessions can teach to the middle of the class. So we'll go at the middle pace of the student, at the middle student, and students who are ahead or below might not be able to catch up. So we are going to make sure that that does not happen. We will have assignments for more advanced students, for the middle students, and students, extra help and resources for students who might need more time to catch up. So we can access that. We can send you more information as we get all the details, the start date and payment details and class details for the class. When we have those, we will email those out to you. But if you have any questions, you can let us know. Desmond, did you have anything else to say?
Just that we were really excited. I think it's really important, something that I want to reinforce, is that we are committed to these students. Our experiences and our experiences with other people who have taught these standardized exams has taught us the perils of treating any participant in a standardized test prep class as though they're a commodity, which sometimes can happen if we're completely honest about some of these group classes. It's important more than anything else that we empower you changes. 200 points on SAT is a big, big deal. And Ms. Maisha talked about her experience experiences with the SAT and the difference that made in her life. ACT and through test prep, I also had my tuition paid for at the University of Michigan. And there is no reason why that who puts in the work can't score significantly and see a significant change on the impact of your life through this testing. So we're really, really encouraging you to take advantage of this opportunity.
Awesome, awesome. So you can leave comments below the video. If we weren't able to answer them on the webinar, we will get back to you. And that's all for this evening. We will let you all know when this course comes out, and stay tuned because we'll be putting together a math webinar very, very soon. All right, have a good night.